everyone. We're so delighted that you've joined us in such large numbers. And, today is a very, very interesting day. We are celebrating the success of Human Edge in the AI Age. Nitin's third book, already a national bestseller. So can we please have a huge round of applause? So I will not hold off, the event any further. I'll just do a quick introduction for Nitin. Nitin Seth is the co-founder and CEO of Incedo, a global tech services firm and a leading voice on digital data and AI. Over a 3-decade career, he has held leadership roles at McKinsey, Fidelity, and Flipkart, driving transformative initiatives worldwide. Soha, of course, is a published author, entrepreneur, one of our favorite stars. And over to you, Soha. She has a list of questions of her own.
Thank you. Actually, I had some questions before I read the book, and then it's a big book. How many of you have seen the book? It's available behind you. This is your third.
That's
your
right,
trilogy.
हाथ खड़ा तो कर लो ना, पढ़ी भी नहीं है तो.
ऐसे ही खड़ा करता हूँ. अभी टेस्ट नहीं लेने वाले हम. And you're also not going to quiz me. But is it only a trilogy, or are there going to be more?
Yeah, no, I think more. Though my wife is sitting there.
Where?
So she's there. So we
Hi.
should have a round of applause for her, yeah. So, and the reason is that, I also have a full-time thing in terms of building and running my company. So writing is quite a time-consuming thing, and I love writing. I absolutely love writing. This is my happy space. देखो business चलाना बड़ा मुश्किल काम होता है, but जो लिखना सोचना तो बड़ा interesting काम है. तो मेरे को बहुत अच्छा लगता है, but I think I need to take a break for at least 1 or 2 years. But my 4th and 5th books are already in works.
Okay, lovely. And we need to give a round of applause to your wife, because you've been away from her, and she's.
Yeah, so away from her even when I'm there.
But you're not as present as you want to be.
Yeah.
But he is going to be more present. He's committed to all of us that he's going to be there more. We will give you the mic later also. You can also ask him some questions. So I have to tell you that AI is something that I don't know a lot about, but I know that it is very present in my life in ways that I don't even realize, of course. It has been around for a long time, but it has suddenly become very much the talk of town, if I might say. And I do know how it is touching my professional and my personal life. But I wanted to ask you, because you've referred, and of course you've been a part of the tech world for so long, you've referred in your book to the fact that technology keeps turning up and disrupting things. And human beings have adapted. But this particular wave of technology in AI is something different. So can you tell us how this is a little different, perhaps?
Yeah, AI is something which has been in work for decades, and AI is not like a standalone thing. It is a amalgamation of number of technologies that are happening. So it's like a convergence. It's like finally a lot of things are coming together. This phenomena of digital, and then data explosion, and then finally AI. So these are all coming together, and it is creating a supernova. So the way to characterize AI very simply is that this is not just another technology shift. This is not equal to internet or cloud. This is more like the discovery of fire, or the invention of the wheel, or electricity, or the locomotive. This is really, really a very, very profound shift. As a human species, we have seen very profound shifts earlier as well. But let us make no mistake, it is a shift like that. Let's not mistake it as just another technology shift.
And are we in control of this technology?
See, we are not, but it is not in the sense that AI is not a conscious being. It's not like a Babaji sitting somewhere, which is plotting and growing uncontrollably on its own. End of the day, AI is a technology that we as humans have created, but the dynamics of AI are such that this is like a self-perpetuating machine. So AI is at three levels, and I think it's very important to understand that. There is the macro level, which is, the reason AI has exploded suddenly over the last 2 years is because of generative AI. AI was always there, but we were not able to use AI because the specific data was not there. Right. And then this thing called generative AI happened, which very simply was absorbing all the data of the world. Yeah. जब वो कर लिया, तो then it became very easy to use AI. So you have the macro layer, you have the enterprise layer, and then top of that you have the individual layer, which is individual layer, individual data with which you personalize. So these three layers are there, and there is a constant information exchange that is happening across these layers. So this is constantly growing. This is constantly learning. See, a lot of people say that, I used AI, but there was an error, there was hallucination. All of that is true. But the thing about AI is that every moment it is learning, and anything which is compounding so continuously is going to keep on growing better and better.
In your book, because I just want to refer to the back that I've read the book, you've also referred to the three layers within us as people. So can you just tell us a little bit briefly, you've drawn this parallel between the machine world and us as human beings, which I found fascinating. So can you tell us about how you drew those connections? Because we also have these three layers.
Yeah, because see the previous question that you asked, Soha, that, are we in control of AI? Or really, why is AI becoming so powerful? So that's the question that, is really, I think is a very important question, because AI is becoming more human than humans. Yeah. Okay? And what explains that? Now, the very typical or traditional way of understanding that is a technology view. Saying that AI is driven by algorithms. Algorithms are becoming stronger. It is driven by compute. And that's why NVIDIA is the most valuable company in the world. It is driven by data. Data is exploding. That's a very technology or conventional way of looking at AI. But I have chosen to take a little more of a spiritual or philosophical view. That if you look at the construct of the self, and most of Indian spirituality is very bothered about this question of who am I? And I looked at, one of my favorite texts, which is the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. And, and that has, self in multiple layers. You have something called buddhi, which is like the universal intelligence. You have aham, which is like the meta form, and you have manas, which is the I, me, myself. And if you look at AI, and I just talked about it, you have the three layers, the macro, the enterprise, and the individual layer. And now the interesting thing is that AI is so powerful because, as I said, there is a constant information flow happening across these layers. Our human challenges, that especially in the digital and AI age, those layers are becoming very disconnected. We are not really connecting with that buddhi layer or that, the universal intelligence or the universal consciousness which is there. We are not tapping into that. We are becoming digital cocoons. Right. And we are stuck in that I, me, myself. And that's a very fascinating, I found it to be a very fascinating construct. And if we really understand that, it will help us understand very simply but profoundly why AI is becoming very powerful and what is the human challenge. Because this AI is like a genie which is out of the lamp. We can't pull it back, we can't hold it. But it is the right-hand side of the equation which is our human construct. And which I think we should worry more about.
Before we get into the human edge, I just wanted to touch a little bit more on the fact that you talked about generative AI and the fact that it is now really challenging a lot of things that make us uniquely human. So whether it's our ability to tell stories, which I'm very interested in, whether it's empathy, which we always thought is what makes us uniquely human beings, and machines will never be able to replace that. But I, for one, know that even now, if I get onto ChatGPT, for example, it is very polite and warm and kind and always asks me, did I answer properly? Is that okay? Is this helping you? Would this kind of answer be more preferable to your personality? I understand it's a mimic, but it is in fact better than a lot of doctors and a lot of therapists in that it has the time for you at all times and it uses the right terminology. So all of that, when you think about the fact that this is just a man-made creation, it's a machine doing that, whether it's the storytelling, whether it's the creativity, can you tell us a little bit more about the challenges that generative AI is bringing to what we thought was uniquely human to us?
Yeah, very well said, Soha. Very well said. Clearly, you've read the book and more. Absolutely. So it's fascinating that how AI is able to do better on many aspects which we thought were innately human. And this is not just dealing with data or analytics, but even empathy. So it's very interesting that there have been a lot of tests with patients and online nurses. Human and AI nurses have consistently done better on empathy, which is fascinating because we thought कि चलो IQ नहीं तो EQ सही. Right, so at least EQ is very human. So it's quite interesting, and it's exactly for the reason that you said, that because AI is able to mimic.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, what is the challenge? See, of course, there are the challenges around that AI today is not 100%. Depending on what the use case is, what technology we're using, it can go anywhere from 40 to 80, 90%. Yeah. So there is a big risk in taking that. See, because AI comes across as very confident and certain. So there is a risk of taking that as truth or gospel, something which is a 40 to 90% output. So that is issue number one. Issue number two is that, especially with generative AI, the key word is generative. It generates an answer. Like traditional AI, it just is not like an input-output. Yeah. So with generative, there is the hallucination is inbuilt. Now you can say that, chalo, this is very human-like, because as humans also we are hallucinating all the time. So, but that is also an issue. But I think, Soha, the most fundamental issue with use of generative and AI for me is that, see, it's like meethi churi. Like, it is very helpful. It enables problem solving, creativity, research, so many different aspects. But as we use it, our own cognitive skills also, kind of get dulled.
Yes.
And that is the biggest issue. That, I think, is the biggest issue. That the more we use it, and and if we don't use it, we are missing out.
Yes.
Because somebody else is going to use it.
Yes.
So that option is also not there, but the more we use it, it is so easy, we become dependent. And it has a negative impact on our cognitive skills. And I think that is the biggest issue. That is the biggest issue, that this whole kind of direction, which was one of the first headlines from the book, that AI is becoming more humans than humans. And humans are becoming narrower. The way we are using AI today is going to bring us more and more to that stage, which is going to be our doom.
So what is the human edge then, in terms of the fact that if we're thinking about what remains uniquely human to us, what is it that we can use and say, aha, this is something that we have that is still intrinsically us, whereby the machines aren't, like you said, at some point we're also worried about the AI being greater than the creator. And it's not out of control, but there's something that is happening in its regeneration that perhaps we cannot anticipate, that we say if it's in the wrong hands, we worry about how it may be misused as well. So what, in terms of whether you're an employee, whether you're a leader in your place of work, what can we hold on to that makes us feel like we still have a human edge?
See, first is that this whole question of human edge, we should not think of this in terms of 0 and 1. That this is all AI and this is all human. Most of it is going to be some combination. Yeah. So at the meta level, okay, that as a overall frame, how I think about the human advantage. For me, it's two parts. The first is about rediscovering the pioneering and the adventurous spirit of the early man. Yeah. Because think about it. Think about 5,000, 10,000, 10,000 years back, which in the whole expanse of human history is not that big a number. Yeah. That, it was a risky world. It was undefined. The hunter-gatherer, every morning you go and you're facing a new world. And, you have to take risk. You have to do a lot of things. Now, over centuries and centuries, we have made the world less risky, more defined. Yeah. And which has, by the way, also narrowed our range of skills. And now the world that we have worked very hard to construct over the last couple of thousand years is going to unravel in the next 10, 15 years. So please bear that in mind. I'm not trying to exaggerate here. With AI, over the next 15 years, our world is going to change. Yeah. And in a sense, not in that sense of there is no resources, but it's going to be a very different world. It's going to be like the early man. And we will need to be a lot more adventurous and pioneering and risk takers. So I think that's one aspect of it. But the second aspect, Soha, is also that we need an expanded consciousness. How is it that, we are going to be better than machines? It is going to be about heightened sense of awareness. More kind of multi-dimensional creativity. Machine is creative, but machine is creative in a more defined way, which is out of bound, more multi-dimensional creativity. What is that? That is an expanded consciousness. And again, in our Indian kind of view, we have always seen a human as an evolutionary project. Thinkers like Sri Aurobindo, even 100 years back, they have talked about the concept of a Superman, that, we are constantly growing. So for me, the human edge for the AI age is a combination of the pioneering, adventurous spirit of the early man and the expanded consciousness of this Superman.
Nice. When you talk about the pioneering spirit, you've also said that, tomorrow maybe there'll be an absence of jobs, but it'll be the age of entrepreneurs. Because those are also the qualities that an entrepreneur really requires, the ability to pivot, the ability to think on your feet, the ability to take risk, certainly, and think out of the box. So can you tell us a little bit about that, especially for those of us who have jobs, who may not have jobs tomorrow? How do we embrace that spirit, and what does that actually mean?
Yeah, it's a very, very important, I think it's a central point. It is actually, when I started to think about AI, and I'm a data guy, so I need data to anchor any of my perspective. And I saw that over the next 15 years, 100% of jobs will get impacted in some fashion, and 35 to 50% jobs will be lost. And this to me was something which really shook me. I said, why are people not talking more about it? Yes. But then I also saw that because of AI, every industry will get disrupted. Some of the changes that we have talked about, personalization, automation, they will disrupt every industry, not just retail or entertainment and so on. And that's a huge opportunity. That's a huge, huge opportunity, because in each industry there are going to be thousands or hundreds of thousands of new problem statements which have to be addressed, and that's an entrepreneurial opportunity. Yeah. So, one of the first headline which I want you to take away is that AI is becoming more human than humans, and humans are becoming narrower. The second headline is that the AI age is the end of the era of jobs, but it is also the heralding the era of entrepreneurs. And I think this is something to embrace, Soha. And this is something not to fear, because frankly, this is a much bigger opportunity. How many people are so excited about the job they do here? Please raise your hand. Yeah, very good. I have always been a rebel here. Like, मेरे को तो हमेशा, like any job, I always felt कि मेरी तो हमेशा boss से लड़ाई हो जाती थी. So not jokes aside, but look, the world is changing, and I think we need to realize that things which are defined machines will do better. Okay, and this is not just the low-end jobs. The thing about AI is that this is actually impacting the white-collar jobs lot more than the blue-collar jobs. Okay, so 2030, over the next 5 years, for every single blue-collar job, 10 white-collar jobs will be impacted. Okay, so this is something very, very important to get your head around. But equally, there is going to be opportunity, which is like for a tsunami of entrepreneurship. Yeah, and when we had a similar conversation in Delhi, one of my panelists, Pramad Sinha, he put it very nicely. He's a Hindi guy, so usne har ghar vyapar, har ghar vyapar. That's a very powerful rallying cry. That see. Again, another thing I want to mention about AI is that AI is not a bhoot. Okay, AI is very easy to use. To use AI, you don't need like some hi-fi technology skills. The only thing you need to know to use AI is what? There's only one thing you need.
The right prompts.
And how do you write a prompt? What do you write a prompt in? English. But simple English hai na? So the language of AI.
But you need an internet connection.
वो चाहिए.
Not everybody has it, I'm saying.
See, but India has, we have more mobiles, we have over 1 billion mobiles, and so many people don't have access to sanitation.
Yes.
So we are a fascinating country. But the language of AI is not .NET or Java or Python. It is English. So it is very easy. You don't need to be this, rocket scientist or whatever, who's making some LLMs or foundational models or complex things like that. So it is very easy to use. But what you do need, and this is the important point, and I think that was perhaps your initial question, what you do need is that you need to know something about a problem.
Yeah.
अब फट्टे मार के तो आप entrepreneur नहीं बन सकते हो, isn't it? You need to know something about something. So in the AI age, and as far as the human edge goes, and I talked about early man, Superman, but one very key word I want you to take away is context. Is context. You need to have the context. And that context comes from knowing something about something. And that is what, what I would say that, see, doing a job is relatively easy. Aapne get a good degree and finally you get in and then you can keep going like this. You don't have to exercise yourself too much. But as an entrepreneur, you need to have an idea. And I think it's a very different model. But it is much easier to get going in the AI age, and I would encourage everybody to take that as an opportunity.
I think so instead of solving the problem, you're saying actually identifying what is the problem that you want to solve and how to go about it could be something that we could change the focus to a little bit more. Coming to me and my industry, what should I worry about? Because I've seen, and I want to get, because this is like a free consultation for me, is that I can see now that, my voice may be dubbed. I'm asked to go and shoot somewhere, and they say one line, and then we'll replicate it, and you can change the lip sync to mimic that. I may not be required to show up to set tomorrow, which I understand. So an actor can be replaced. You see VFX. There's some wonderful things. It becomes accessible. It becomes cheaper to make a film, for example. You can de-age somebody without spending a lot of money. And that, of course, comes with certain concerns as well, because sometimes you don't give your consent, and there's things like deep fakes that occur. So, A, what are your thoughts about that? And then what are some of the safeguards that one can adopt, if any, to ensure that perhaps that's not exploited? And where do we, and I know I'm asking a lot of questions also, but where do we get to the point where we start, are we, because so much is happening on a day-to-day basis that we're just trying to understand how AI is affecting us. But at what point do we start to think about safeguards, laws, or is it already, can we not keep up? Can we put some kind of legal framework in, or is that not possible?
Yeah. So first, I think AI and Gen AI is going to impact the entertainment and movie making business tremendously. I think it's going to be a game changer.
Even writing, scripts. You can literally say, write a film script, two people, something set here, and it'll give you a whole script.
No, it is. As an author, I see that. Sometimes I wonder that. For my second book, I did not use AI at all. And when I had finished the book, then that's when AI was really beginning to happen. And then I the various chapters the topic I put into AI, and I was amazed that the framework or the outline AI came up with was at least as good as I had. It just did not have the stories that I had. For the third book, it was quite a challenge to not lean into AI too much, because the temptation is very high. Because it takes you like one chapter. There are whatever 35, 40 chapters in the book. Each chapter takes me weeks.
Yes.
And AI can do it in like an hour or 2 hours, with multiple prompts, back and forth. So it takes a lot of discipline, not to use, it, or not to use it too much. And in the third book, I've certainly used it in places, but still it's like, 2 to 3%. But I wonder, for my fourth book, will I, how will I not use AI?
Be co-authored.
It will be co-authored, Yeah, I've already, set up like a AI channel. It's called Nitin Seth.ai. Please check it out.
What is it?
It's like a chatbot for digital data and AI questions.
Right.
So, I can't be, I get a lot of questions. I can't answer it, so I've made a chatbot. So, which has ingested all of the 3 books I've written, every video, every interview I've ever given, and so that it can give the same gyan. So look, so many parts of the movie making process, from script writing to production and so on, even the entire movie making in some cases, can be, there are many aspects of it which can be automated. Not just that, but there are also very exciting possibilities. It's not just a negative. There is, of course, about how do you make it. It takes X months or years to make a movie. You can make it in months. Yes. The cost of doing a movie is X hundred crores. You can do it in 20 crores or whatever. But there are also other type of possibilities. That one of the great aspects of AI is personalization or hyper-personalization. Tomorrow, can we have these adaptive movies which are personalized for the individual? Not far-fetched.
And even for medicine, I'm saying that would be incredibly useful. Entertainment aside.
Yeah, of course. Healthcare. Healthcare is a great point. So far, all clearly each human being is different.
Yeah.
So and today all medication, or for that matter even education, is is like many to many, right? And we can get into personalization, which is a huge game changer. Not just entertainment, but education, healthcare. But just to stay with entertainment, so that's a very interesting possibility. What is a movie? Yeah. Movie may not be one static thing. Tomorrow movies could be crowdsourced. You could use, it could be a two-way interaction, between the audience and the movie that you are creating. You're kind of co-creating the script. So the possibilities of what entertainment looks like, or the whole definition of entertainment, I think it is very you can really have a very different view to that, and it opens up a completely new market, new very different set of possibilities. But at the same time, the risk, deepfakes is of course one thing, but the point we had made earlier, if AI makes it so easy to do a set of things, what about my writing skills, or this, as a script writer, what do I do? How do I do it? Or even as an actor, I think these are real set of issues. But just to address the legal issues around deepfakes, because I think it's a very specific and a very damaging thing. I think the need for the legal framework is now, or the need for the legal framework was yesterday. Yeah. So and there is certainly a higher and very clear set of requirements which need to be there of any platform. The platform has to be responsible for that. See, at the same time, there is also, the good thing about AI is that AI can also kill AI. Yeah. So that, for example, deepfakes, AI is also what can help, identify deepfakes. Yeah. So, for example, cybersecurity. So, anybody who is in business here knows that cybersecurity is such a data security, such a huge issue. And a lot of that cybersecurity attacks today are being driven by AI. But the way to protect against cybersecurity attacks is also AI. And I think it's a very similar thing for deepfakes as well. That's how you protect it. So I would concur. So one thing that point number one, AI is going to be a game changer for entertainment, absolutely. Point number two, it is going to change the process. It will bring a tremendous, unprecedented set of efficiencies, but it is not just that. It could potentially change and expand the concept of what that entertainment output looks like. Driven by personalization and driven by the audience participation. Point number three, deepfakes and are a huge issue. And I think the need for a legal framework and enforcement is not future, it is today.
I understand that AI is something that is here to stay, and as you said, it's not binary, and we must coexist and work together. But I just want to ask you where you stand on the moral or the ethical aspect of being, like you said, everybody has a phone now, but the digital divide does exist. And we do feel like a lot of people will struggle who don't have, perhaps, who will have inequitable access to this kind of technology. So what are your thoughts about that?
See, my thought is, Soha, that generally, AI is actually, and this is digital data and AI, all three together, they are a democratizing force. We should stop, there are many things wrong about AI. There are many things wrong about AI. There are many things, which we have to fear and be concerned about. The cognitive decline, the hallucination, the deep fakes, all of them are issues. But as far as this business of equality and access goes, I think it is actually a positive. See, AI is something which, whether you are sitting in Kakinada in Andhra Pradesh, you are sitting in Navsari in Gujarat, or you are in Bhatinda in Punjab, you have access to the same knowledge and tools if you are sitting in the Silicon Valley or you are sitting in the Boston corridor. And that's a huge, huge thing. That's a huge thing. And you can see that happening.
And you can get it in your language.
Of course. You can get it in your language. And I think this is such an opportunity for Bharat, that is India. Okay? This is such an opportunity. Because pura wo jaake stack thodi banana hai. Yeah? Now, of course, there are issues around infrastructure. That AI, use of AI today is very, very consumption intensive. It requires GPUs, it requires a lot of data center capacity, all that is expensive. And that's a problem to be solved. As a country, we need to solve that problem. This whole entrepreneurial opportunity and unleashing a tsunami of entrepreneurship, I think it's very real, but it will require an infrastructure ecosystem to be created, and the government and probably some kind of a public-private partnership needs to happen to enable that. But the fundamental point is that AI is very nature is democratizing. Okay? And that's what we should embrace. We should not demonize that. We should not demonize it. We should embrace it, because this could be for the hundreds of millions of Indians, or not just Indians, but the masses in Africa and Latin America, the global South. AI is an opportunity for global South to rise.
You referred to children as well in education and how this could make a difference. And of course, now some of our children are going to these IB schools where they profess to be doing very child-led education, personality-driven, and they assess the child and teach according to that child's individual requirements. So what are your thoughts positive and negative, in terms of AI's impact on our children?
See, at one level, our debating doesn't make any difference, Soha, because children are using it, and they will use it. And anything which you can't really control, I think you should just make it more legally and naturally available. So I am a huge advocate saying that, for our schools, we should allow use of AI formally, because then you can have a conversation, which is about what is the right way of using AI. Because when you create an artificial scarcity, then children will end up using it in the wrong way. Yeah. So, like, AI is like what calculator was 15 years back. Who today does not use a calculator? And it is a reality that, even between my two kids, like my three children, the eldest and the youngest, 8-year, 9-year difference. Eldest, we did mental maths. Morning, 36 into 12. Poor girl, we would be asking her all these questions. But the youngest one, we never asked, because tab tak khatam ho gaya tha mental maths, right? So there is a little bit of that reality. Yeah. There is a little bit of that reality. But look, AI is such an advantage that our kids naturally use it, and why would you not allow them to use it? But at the same time, this issue of cognitive decline is a real one. Yes. This is a very, very real issue. How do you make sure that you're helping them build those core skills? Yeah. So the couple of I think we need to understand this and learn about this much better. But just a couple of things. The first is always force them to whatever they're trying to do with AI, do it themselves. Yeah. So if it's an essay or it's something to be written, write it yourself. Write it yourself, before you give it to AI. Some of the panel discussions I've been a part of, and there have been some very senior educators. One of the point they made was that some of the professors that, there's an output and they know that the student has used AI, and they say, okay, now do it yourself. Right. Yeah. So you force your own thought process to happen. So I think we are still. I think there are many things which we need to figure out. But my broader point is that AI. How do you stop AI? So as well use it. I think we should. The broader theme again is that we should not see AI as like this evil or this is a competitor for us. We have to use AI as a collaborator.
I think the fact that you've written a hardbound book and you've put all your thoughts into this yourself means that balance you believe does exist, that we can still buy books, read them off paper, and also coexist with our AI world. I just wanted to close with one last question, and then if anybody else has any questions in terms of perhaps something that you can leave with the audience, a takeaway, if there's one from the book that we can hold on to, as I said, whether it's a leader in the industry, whether it's somebody who's thinking about their future, whether it's a child, whether it's someone from the entertainment world. One takeaway in terms of how do we hold on to our souls and our human souls in the face of this new challenge, or not so new challenge.
If I may, I'll make 2 points. The first is that AI or the future is not to be feared. Okay, the future is to be created. So it's not that a future with AI is a given. The contours, outlines of that, the specifics of that, we can shape. And in the book, I have proposed what I call the possible framework. We are ending this conversation here, so I won't go into the details of that, but the future is possible. Okay, that's the point I would make. And we talked a lot of things about the human edge. I would like to end with like a 3 C's. 3 C's, easy to remember. Hopefully, so the first is context. Yeah, and I spoke about it. So this word context, please remember it. Context is going to be very, very important as the human edge. The second is creativity. And we also spoke about that. We spoke about the entertainment business, and I think that creativity is always something that is going to belong to the human. And the third is the connection, and that's the human connection. So in a age of machines, that human connection is going to be even more important. So like even this book. See, this book is already a bestseller. It's already and it sells on Amazon. Okay, there is not even a comparison. The majority sells on Amazon. It's selling very well there, but still, I am doing a tour across like I in the first 2 weeks of August and now 2 weeks here. This 2 weeks I'm visiting 9 cities. Okay, every day I'm doing multiple conversations because I very strongly believe that the power of that human connection and the human conversation, because then the message goes across in a very different way, and it is not just one way, because and after every conversation I write down, because when I have a conversation I'm also learning, because AI is evolving. So it's not that while I may have written a 500-page book that I know everything. Okay, there are so many aspects that we have a conversation and I learn myself. So that's something I would leave you with, that the future is not to be feared. The future is possible, and think of the 3 C's: context, creativity, and connection.
No, thank you so much. And in fact, I want to say, I don't know if any of you have picked up the book, but it's a wonderful acronym, which is possible, and it tells you POSSIBL stand for various things, E, in which you can embrace your human edge over AI. And I think that is the key thing to remember, is that whether we like it or not, and at least I resist change. I find it uncomfortable when things change at a very rapid pace, and it's unsettling. So I think it's nice to think about it in a positive framework. Think about the intent is to democratize, and if we see it in that lens, and of course if we put in the required safeguards, then it's all not all dark and gloom. So thank you very much. I don't know if we have time for Preeti's looking at me for some questions that.
Can we have a few questions?
Yeah, so if anybody has any questions for Nitin. Do you need a mic?
Is there a mic, or you can use?
No, then how will you answer? Then you need mic.
Hi Soha, this is Shayanti Banerjee here. So I'm a professional anchor, and that makes me an artist. And the fact that you've raised a concern as an artist, your voice can be dubbed or substituted by an AI, that is also making me fear that, in the long run, is it only going to be like a voiceover when we are having a live event? Or how do you address that concern as an artist who is always, with so much of passion and emotion out there, showcasing her talent? So do you really feel the competition, or do you think nobody can substitute the emotional connect that you have with your audience?
I mean, this is the question that I asked Nitin, in fact, and we were speaking about this. This is, I think, we are seeing the start of AI in our respective industries. And I, as an actor, feel, especially in a culture like India, the reason all of you have showed up today is that we still like to meet. I've started a podcast of my own. I can use this platform to promote my own podcast.
Did watch that, yes.
So people like having conversations. They like turning up, especially post-COVID. I think that we still look at something and we can tell a little bit, and our children certainly will be able to, and it'll be nice to flag something as this is artificial and this is not artificial, so that we know, because some things are done in such a wonderful way that you can't really tell. And that is what's worrying for me, is the lack of transparency. If you know that this is machine generated, and if you flag that, then that's fine. But it's the absence of knowing that concerns me more as an artist. Otherwise, I feel like the onus is on us as the human race to be relevant, to constantly pioneer, to go out there, to try new things, instead of sheltering. So if there's a challenge that's out there, we should step up and we should embrace that. We should not try and fall back or hold back, because there are wonderful things that we can also get from AI. So we shouldn't deny ourselves that.
Sure, I think we should be more human at this point of time to challenge AI, is what I would say. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, Soha. Hi, Nitin. So I'm a senior social media manager, and I manage a lot of different brands, and I can actually see the use of AI in creating content, analyzing the data, and also the way we are now making AI films. So I work for a few big brands. I can't name it, but we are actually coming up. We are eliminating entire product launch films with AI. And it's doing such a fab job and costing the client so less that they are more inclined towards that. So my question is that what would be the future of marketing with AI? Because where I am right now, what I studied during my MBA days and where I am working right now, there's a lot of AI integration and we have to be on point for AI. So marketing and AI in future.
Marketing is an area which is getting hugely transformed with AI. And the reason is not just automation, it is also personalization. See, personalization is also, we didn't speak as much about it during the conversation, a little bit maybe when Soha asked me about the movies, but it is also a huge ability of AI. That so far, our basic logic has been that scale has meant standardization. But with the combination of digital data and AI, you can personalize at scale. And that's a very big thing as far as marketing and marketing effectiveness goes. Because in marketing, segmentation is always an approximation. Yeah, segmentation is the heart of marketing. But now when you can identify each customer individually and specifically and on a real-time basis and change also your offering and message for the customer on a real-time basis, why will you not do that? So marketing is a field I see where tremendous amount is already happening. With my clients in the US, I see that internal automation and then is the first area for use of AI, marketing is the second.
True. Thank you.
Hi Soha, hi Nitin. So I work with Microsoft and I am part of their emerging AI marketing communications domain. And what I have observed is there's a gap that is emerging between our aging population, which is very reluctant to get onto the, as they say, the bandwagon of AI. And there are also those who don't have access to technology. So there's an inequality that is creeping in. So is there a collective evolution, a human edge that we can bring in to bridge that gap? Like my senior citizen parents are very reluctant. They are like, ChatGPT is not our thing. And then there are people who don't have access to it.
See, we have to take this bhoot away, okay? Because, what do you need to use ChatGPT? Or ChatGPT is not the only one. There is Claude and Perplexity and Grok and Gemini and Copilot and all of that. It's very easy to use. That's the point I'm making. It only needs you to know English. And I see that's also one of the reasons, I've written this book. And we need a lot more like this. That, we need to humanize the use of AI. We have to take it away from being this something, which is so difficult, some very complex thing which only youngsters can, because it is not about coding at all. So that's the, I think we have to get them to experiment. We have to get them to utilize it. But I think your point is a very real one. It is not just about the senior citizens. See, even within our company, what I see is that now theoretically, AI should be taking away jobs at the bottom of the pyramid. Yeah. But practically what is happening is that it is the younger folks who are more change ready and are more able to adjust to that new paradigm. You may be seeing that in Microsoft itself. Yeah. So it's a very interesting churning we are going through, and that also connects to a conversation we had about children and how they learn. So while we worry very much about the youngsters, how they are learning, but the reality is that they are the ones who are creating all those fancy AI startups. Yeah. So I think it's a real issue. The issue is not just at the senior citizen level. The issue is anybody who has spent 10 years. Anybody who has spent, anybody more than 10, 15 years experience is conditioned in a certain way. And yeah, I think that's something we have to address.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Soha. Hi, Nitin. Most important question over here is change management. And today, if we embrace AI as one of the resource within our team, how do you see that acceptance level? Because something which is a machine, something which is a language, and we are replacing that with a human, as a part of our overall resource planning, how do you see that change management getting built up? Do you require, all the stakeholders to be trained in that manner to accept this change? Or it will come naturally to everyone? Especially the generation which is, I think, 50 plus, 55
I can
plus.
see the dard, or the pain in your question, because clearly it is coming from a very, felt situation. Change management is right now a huge issue. Is a huge issue. And in fact, this possible framework, one of the dimensions is leadership. And in leadership, and when I talk about what does leadership mean for the AI age, one of the most important dimensions I talk about is change management. So please read that also. But it's, the amount, see, in the next 10, 15 years, 100% of jobs will get impacted in some fashion. It's not 80%, it is 100%. What that means is that all jobs, all work will change in some way. That has to be redrawn. Yeah, that is a change management. That's a change management. I think today we have not even started with that. There is a very big redesign effort that is needed. But most importantly, right now, the gap that I see is that we need almost like an army of change agents. And these are not necessarily young or old. It could be anybody, but somebody who is going to drive it like a warrior. Because the opportunity is very big. If you are in the movie making business and there is now a possibility of reducing your cost to like to 1/10 or 1/5, or my business, technology business, where it is happening on a real-time basis. All of the contracts I'm signing are 25 to 40% lower, because the client is expecting that I'm going to be using AI to do it much faster, better, cheaper, everything. So the change is a reality. And I think, the point that was made earlier, that some of the more senior you are, the more vested you are in the way things are happening. So even if you know that this can be done differently, the inertia is too high. And I think the change makers are likely to be younger. The change makers are likely to be younger, and I think, but at the same time, there is a need of how do you train, these young, very fiery firebrands into the process and methods of change management so that they can drive it in a more effective manner. It's a very interesting question. I think so. Also had this point about haves and have-nots. I think the notion of haves and have-nots will remain, but maybe that will get redrawn. The haves have-nots may not be driven by socioeconomic disparity as it exists today. They may not be driven by age. It may be, but may be driven by those who have embraced AI and those who have not.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is Kamakshi, and I'm working as a relationship coach where we mostly talk about contracted consciousness. But I see, right, like the AI is mostly about the expanded consciousness. So, how well that AI will fit into emotions where we can understand that logically something is not for us, but emotionally we are not able to grab it and work as per, and we wanted to go ahead with what heart says. So, how well the AI understand the emotions, and I mean, give us suggestion or guide us, right? What will be the AI impact to the people who are working on the emotion side?
I just saw it as a question of like if there's a girl who likes a boy and the boy is like it sounded to be like that, you know.
Right,
and,
right.
And the boy is saying no, and the girl's like. So I'm not.
I think, see, again, we are learning. We are learning at this stage. But the number one use case for ChatGPT, is what?
What?
Is companionship.
Really?
Is companionship.
So bizarre.
It is not, because I talk to ChatGPT, not me, Arpana, but generally, you're talking to ChatGPT because it gives you say, wow, great.
Yeah.
Soha, you're great. That's a great.
And it doesn't want to stop talking.
Yeah. So it is companionship. Yeah. Yeah. No, your what you've said, what you've written is already so good. I will just make a few improvements. So. But seriously, on a serious note, see, what's the biggest epidemic in the world? It's not COVID, it is mental health.
Right.
It is
right.
mental health. And, I think today there would be, maybe not even hundreds, but thousands of startups which are trying to use generative AI agents to solve for mental health. So this is, this is a work in progress. See, because, in emotions, there is two things. One is that you understand and reflect emotions. Yeah. The second is that also you don't bring your own bias and judgment into the conversation. Both is something you can argue that AI does well. Yeah. But at the same time, many emotions are very complex. Yeah, I say something, I express an emotion, but I actually mean something else. Isn't it? Happens all the time,
absolutely.
which the machine may not be good at doing. So I think it's still, again, going back to that 0 and 1, on this whole issue of understanding emotions. See, we have been using AI for the longest time. Even like 10 years back, 15 years back, when I was in Fidelity Investments, like in our US offices, we had cameras, and like a client, and these are like all high value clients. Client would walk in, a picture would be taken, the picture would be assessed, and by the time that person is going to a wealth manager, relationship manager, the person already knows what is bande ka mood kya hai. Yeah. So emotions, machines have been used to decode emotions for the longest time. So I think we, but how far we can push, how far does it make sense to push, what is going to be the exact human role and the machine role, I think some of these things are, we are learning.
And I think that there's certain things that we should turn to human beings for, perhaps, still. I mean, I know, for example, in my husband, I can't anticipate his response. Depending on his blood sugar, depending on how much he slept, the response will be completely different. And that's also wonderful, the imperfection and the, definitely blood sugar, but I'm saying the imperfections are what keep us interested and what keep us going back.
Last one or two questions.
Hi Soha, hi Nitin sir. So my question is, before AI, everyone using self creativity in writing like a script, as you earlier said. But right now I feel कि 100% human creativity will totally gone after AI using. So natural creativity will be definitely stopped. So
that is indeed a risk. वही हम बात करें कि there is AI can help in that. Yeah. And why not? Yeah, that why would you not use it? But it is it's like a paradox. It's a paradox that it's very helpful, you use it, but eventually it can harm you, which is also a reality. So that's the whole, think of creativity as a process. Yeah, it's not 0-1. It is, and I think that's where is the future of work, and that is the redesign of work that we need to go through. That in any creative process, how should we draw it so that we use AI for that productivity, for that advantage, but we are still able to, keep our edge, bring our authenticity. I think this word authentic is also going to become very important. Because, anything, especially my son can figure out, if I'm writing a post and I've used AI to whatever fine-tune it, immediately he will message the mom that, why is dad using ChatGPT for that? So anything, which is now, I know is kind of important. I'm writing to a senior person. Is this something, I then become more conscious, that my authenticity has to come through. So there is always going to be a very important role, and even in art. And my daughter is an artist. She's a painter and sculptor. I have this debate with her all the time. I think a lot of art, including movie making, will get democratized, will get commoditized. But there is also going to be a higher value for the human skills. So we should not assume at all, and I'm not making the point anywhere, in my book or in my thinking, that there is no human role. I'm actually making a point that human edge is very important. Now, but the thing may be, just say, ek dal hai, dal mein there is a chutti bhar namak, right? Just say the entire flavor comes. That's perhaps what it is going to be. That is perhaps what it's going to be, that AI is going to be that base of the dal. Yeah, which can be done more easily, but still that human edge has to come in. And we have to, and that's, I think, the debate. That's what we need to figure out in the coming years, that, what is, how do we make sure that chutti bhar namak, that human edge is, we have that. If we lose that also, then it's a problem. Okay.
Yeah, I think we're closed.
Yeah, so I have this one last
Okay, last question. So,
I'm Shrey. Greetings to everyone present. As a young clinical therapy practitioner, I would like to circle back to what she said. So, if you end up telling AI how your partner is, you can just end up seeing very random words, that my partner is grass cutting me, book shutting me, like very random words, but then the AI will end up telling you how right you are and how wrong the person is. So, as a young therapist, trying my best to build a proper algorithm that does surpass this limitation, as a tech guy, what would be your suggestion to a young AI professional?
see, I think there is I think that's a great question, thank you. I think there is a very big difference in using consumer apps like ChatGPT or Perplexity or Grok for highly complex situations the way you are describing.
Right.
Okay? They are not meant for that.
Right.
That, see, they are very, the way they work, they will give you an answer to anything you ask. Okay? That's the way generative AI works. But it does not mean that you use like a basic app for a very, very complex, sophisticated question. But as I said earlier, there are hundreds, not thousands of startups which are exactly working on this point. Because, this, for complex human interactions, it's a very, very calibrated response. And the foundation for that may be a generative AI model, but then you build additional models and checks and balances on that. You again contextualize. Again, that word context. You contextualize the models with more specific data. That's what they do. So for heaven's sake, please experiment with ChatGPT for all kind of easy, cool things. But for things which really, really matter, you have to use a more specialized application, which it seems like you are aware of and you are trying to do something. Yeah. But there is a very, there is ChatGPT, कुछ चीजों के लिए अच्छा है, but be aware. Okay, last, but okay. Bilkul, we'll close, absolutely.
Hello Nitin sir, hello Soha ma'am. So my question as an advocate is to ask that if there is an legal framework, so it is, you can file a complaint in police station because you might have heard question regarding, there was a famous celebrity, I'm not taking the name, which was viral. It was a deep fake video. She filed a police complaint and the action was taken. Since you are a celebrity, you can take down your video. Just say that you can take down the video and you are a celebrity and it's a copyright.
What if you're not a celebrity?
Then there is an issue.
Then there is an issue.
Yeah.
Because if you have to be a celebrity, then it's an issue.
Yeah.
I think the key there, so is something you mentioned, and I think the question is also there, that we need much more real-time and better filtering of what is fake and what is real. Okay, we close here. Thank you so much. Soha, thanks for the conversation.
Thank you so much.